Guten Morgen, liebe Klasse 10. This is already the second video today, so very exciting. It's also about my 15th attempt to try and do it. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so this morning we're going to talk about something in German that is called trennbare Verben. Okay? Verben. In English, that means separable verb, and daha, what is special about them is that they actually separate when you use them. We all already know a very common one, and you've been struggling to get your head around it since year 8. So now finally here comes the answer, why it is, what it is, and how it works properly. And that is the verb fernsehen. Okay, so we've got the verb fernsehen. And this is obviously the infinitive of this verb. Okay, so the basic form. Now, if we use this, for instance, in the first person singular, which we all remember in German is ich, then this verb fernsehen suddenly splits itself up and it becomes ich sehe gern fern. I like watching television. Okay, now how does that happen? Now, each of these separable verbs has a verby part and a different part. Okay, and the trick is to know where it separates, and it is really, really tricky. The easiest way of knowing that is to actually know the verby part. So we all should know that the verb sehen also means to see, and that it is a verb on its own. And if we find something like that, then we know that this is a separable verb. Also, if we get weird bits at the end of sentences that make very little sense, and we look up a verb, so if you, for instance, found this sentence on the right somewhere, and you looked up this and it didn't quite make sense, I like seeing ferns, what? I don't understand. Then it is always worth going to the end of the sentence and seeing if there's an odd bit of something stuck at the end of the sentence, and if there is, then it is probably a separable verb, and in order to find it in the dictionary you need to reassemble it and find the infinitive and then look it up. Complicated? I'm afraid so. Okay, but this is basically how it works. So if we take this through the different forms, okay, then we have du siehst gern fern. Okay, so we see that the actual verb stuff, the ending and so on, only happens in the main verby part, whereas the add-on just stays the same. And it is like that through all the different persons. Okay. And it is basically the same for all the separable verbs. They all work like that. So you do what you do to verbs in German, endings, stem changes, the whole lot, to the verb part, and the add-on part just stays the same. The particle just stays the same. Now, interesting again, if we go into the past tense, let's go into the future first. So if we use this in the future, so if we want to say that tonight I am going to watch television, then I actually put this back together, because we know that in the future tense we use werden and we use the infinitive. So we use the infinitive of our separable verb. So if I use this in the future, I say ich werde morgen, let's make it tomorrow, it's shorter because I'm running out of space. Ich werde morgen fernsehen. gesehen. And we see that it has been reassembled. Okay? Makes sense? Makes sense. And then what we also do in the past tense, it gets a bit weirder because we remember that the past tense also consists of a particle, an auxiliary. In this case, it's haben. And then we usually add GE. Now, where do we add our GE? We actually add it in the middle. Yes, in the middle. Okay? So this was the future tense. Okay? So in perfect tense, the past tense that we use most, it turns into this. Ich habe gestern, yesterday, gestern, fern gesehen. Okay, so we kind of do the past tense bit. So here we're back in the infinitive, okay, and here we basically do the past tense as if it was the word sehen. Our verby bit was its own verb, and then add the particle bit at the front. So we insert the GE in between the two bits of our separable verb. Okay? Does that make sense? Well, I'm not sure whether it makes entire sense, but that's how it is, I'm afraid. Okay? So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to let me know. All right? Let's see how you get on with this. This is for exercise 2 on page 54, more or less.